Good evening, Mr.
I'm a
Akinlami.
Paul.
How are you doing?
How you doing, ma?
I'm very well, thank you, sir. And yourself?
How are
How's the
you?
family?
We are doing very well. God is helping us. We are,
Yes.
we are getting used to the new.
The new Abim.
Really.
How is baby?
He's doing very well. He's growing. He turned 4 months this week,
Oh
just like
wow.
yesterday.
Already.
Mm-hmm.
Already.
Just like yesterday.
Amazing.
Mm-hmm.
We thank God.
Actually,
Awesome. So we
yeah.
have a few people joining. Let me
People
just
are joining.
welcome.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I,
Okay.
I decided to start a few minutes early just so that we
Ben.
get people in.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay, welcome everyone. Hey, KK, welcome. Welcome, Ife. Welcome, Nifesi. For those of us that are here early, welcome. If you can just send a link to a few people that you know so that we can kick off with a few more people in the room. So if you know how to do it, just go to the bottom of your screen and just click the share button so you can share it across your various platforms. And the beautiful thing with Clubhouse is that you don't have to download the app to be part of the conversation. So KK, we're definitely bringing you on stage. Just wait, because I know you have a lot to add on this particular topic. So I'm just, give me 1 second. I'm also just going to ping people into the room and to share it across platforms to let people know that we've kicked off. So if you can kindly do that, everyone, let's give a few minutes to do that. Yeah, join in. And then we're waiting for our last speaker to join. I'm sure she will join shortly. Hello, welcome Abisola, welcome Halima. Thank you for joining promptly and right on time. Okay, so have we shared it to people so that they can join us in this room? The conversation will be recorded so that people can listen to it later. So while we're waiting for people to join, let me just do introduction for anybody who maybe this is the first time you're hearing my voice. My name is Yetty Williams. I'm founder, CEO of LagosMums, and 10 years old now. Amazing. Thank God for his mercies in keeping it going. And basically, it's a community for parents, moms, and caregivers and educationists to come together and talk about raising children, raising them in the digital age, in the 21st century, with technology. How do we make all the decisions that we need to make to ensure that we're raising successful, independent adults? Because I say we're not raising children, we're raising adults. So if we go ahead and think about the adults we want to raise, then we can do the building blocks to ensure that that's the end results that we're going to get. Obviously, we don't have all the answers. We need a support system. We have the African proverb that says it takes a child to raise it takes a village, sorry, to raise a child. And I've changed it or added and modified it to say it takes an e-village to raise a child because we all live virtually now. And that means that there are certain things that we need to change in terms of what we think about when we think about raising children, raising a family in today's day and age. So that's what Lagos Moms is. We're a huge community and we invite people. You might have children already, no matter what age you are, what age your children are, there's always something to talk about, especially when it comes to digital parenting. So that's really what we do. And you can follow me. If you look at my bio, you'll see my links to how you can stay in touch with us, connect with us, and get support on your parenting journey. So welcome, Abimbola. And we're going to jump because there's a lot to cover and we're trying to keep this to 1 hour. I love doing power hours and cover as much as we can in that period of time. And the topic today is specifically around ensuring safety in Nigerian schools. And when things happen, some of the unfortunate situations that have happened recently, there tends to be a lot of activity around it. You'll see things are trending on social media. Everybody's asking for justice. But just as quickly as these unfortunate situations come to the limelight, then it dies off later unfortunately, until maybe the next situation. So what does it mean if you want to make sure that we're taking away the right lessons from what has happened? So the topic today around ensuring safety in Nigerian schools, we're going to be covering how do we choose the right schools? What does it mean to even ask for safety in the school environment? Some parents don't actually know what to look for. They don't know the questions to ask. They don't know what the red flags are when it comes to their children in school. And the two guests we have on stage today, I'm going to just introduce them quickly, and then we're going to jump in. I'm going to start ladies first. Abimbola is I just want to pull it up quickly here because she's not just the school owner. She's an education leadership and management expert, a school leadership coach, an education advocate, a thought leader, and she's also a speaker. She's the CEO of Kids. Give me 1 second. She's the CEO of Kids Court School and the Court Hill College. They're both schools in Lagos, Nigeria. And I've met her personally. I think the first time I met you, Bimbo, was at a Wimbiz event. And I was just amazed at your energy. I was amazed by your profile, what you've done. You're a doctor, you've gone into the educational field. And I don't see it here at the top of your profile, but I do know that you're also very involved in. Okay, I see here. Yes, you're very involved in training and teaching teachers to be the best they can be as well. You have a foundation that focuses on that. So, welcome, Abimbola. I'm going to soon give you the mic and you're going to introduce yourself. And I'm going to start off with a question for you, which is what does it mean to choose the right school for your child from your perspective? But before we get into that, I want to introduce Mr. Akinlami as well. The first time I heard him speak many years ago, I was like, wow, this is just a I mean, the knowledge and the passion with which he uses to share on parenting is amazing. And he's spoken at quite a few LagosMums events. Um, and so Mr. Akinlami is the co-founder and CEO of Power Parenting Company. He's a child human rights and protection expert and advocate. He speaks a lot on parenting, safeguarding, and he's just really a voice for children and the unheard, really, in our community as well. So thank you, Mr. Akinlami, for joining us this evening. Okay, welcome both. Do you want to just unmute and quickly say hello to the room, and then we'll go into Q&A.
Hi, Yetty. Good evening.
Good
Can you
evening.
hear me?
Welcome. Yes, I can hear you
Awesome.
loud and clear. How's your day?
Fabulous. It's great to be here. Good evening,
Fantastic.
everyone. Thank you
Welcome.
for having me. Good
No,
evening,
thanks for
Mr.
joining.
Akinlami. Good evening.
Madam, thank you so much. Good evening.
Welcome.
Good evening, Madam Yetty Williams. Good evening, Doctor. Good evening, everybody in the room. It's my pleasure to be with you this evening. We look forward to a great conversation. Thank you.
Okay, welcome. All right, so Bimbola, with that, let's get going. Hear me well. It's saying poor connection on my side, but I hope you can hear me loud and clear.
Yes, I can.
Okay, fantastic. So, remember, I want us to start off with that is, when people are choosing schools, I've come across quite a few parents, and when you ask them why they chose the school that they chose, sometimes the reasons that they give, I find it almost, kind of shocking that is that why you chose that school based on, some of the reasons are really nothing that answers the questions of what they're trying to achieve, really. What kind of child are they raising, and why did they choose that particular school? So I'd like you to just do a bit of an overview in terms of how to choose the right school for your child, because I believe there's a right school for every child and for every budget. So what do you say
All
to
right.
that?
Okay. Thank you, Yetty. So, um, again, good evening once again. So many people choose schools for many reasons. I mean, when I was thinking about this, I mean, we could be here for about 4 hours if we want to unpack why, the various reasons why, um, parents choose schools. But I think in my own experience, the first thing that parents need to think about is their child's needs, because sometimes we forget that and we put that at the bottom of the of the list. What exactly does my child need, right? Does my child need a structured environment? Does my child need a less structured environment? But what sort of work, type of work? Is it challenging? I know there are some schools that are very big on academics, some not so big, some more balanced. What sort of space would my child thrive in the most? I think is important. Is it an environment that fosters creativity? Does my child have any special learning needs? Right? What's my child's learning style? Is my child more musical? Is my child more artistic? Or, I've had children come to the school and they are just bookworms, right? They just want to sit down and read. Or let's go for outdoor play. No, so different types of things. But I think the top on the list should be, who is my child? What does my child need? And then what is, again, a collective family vision for that child? I know sometimes that, again, comes above what the child needs, but I think it's also important for us to sit down and, again, in conversations with the child, as a family, to say, okay, what are you interested in? What are your interests? What would you like to do? What do you like doing now? And then just finding a school that fits that, what my child's need, what my child's interests are, right? And then what is it that we want as a family for that child? Again, understanding that the child must be first. So I would want, which is what changes, how we differ from our parents. So our parents, what their own needs for the children and aspirations for the children come first. But here it is, I have a child, the child is, this certain way, my child has expressed to me what the child needs. Let us collectively then support this child. So I think for me, that is first. It is also important, what are the family's needs? And I think for me, this comes more in terms of boarding school and, day school. So does the family really need, is it a family that would be able to support a child that goes to school from home all the time? So location is important. Travel time is important. What is the area generally is also important. There are some places that I would not, take my child to. I remember many years ago, we wanted to plant a primary school in Surulere. And we were given a piece of land, or shown a piece of land in an area that I thought, this is a dangerous place. As in, I wouldn't even want to bring my child every day to this sort of area. So those sort of things, family and children needs, I think, are all, they are key. Now, if you go to the school factors, and I'll say that very quickly, I know we have only 1 hour. So if you go to the school factors, I've never been on these platforms. I'm trying not to touch anything that's going to make a mockery. All right, fabulous. So school factors. I go into a school. I need to know that the school has a great ambience. I need to know that the school is clean. I need to know that the school is well equipped to deliver what it is that their promise is. So which takes me to, what is the school's vision? What is the school's mission? Now, I would ask parents not to sit down there, because many schools just pick something off the internet and post it up there. But I mean, it's just good to even know that they are thinking about something, right? But I want to see a school that is clean, a school that is well equipped, a school that is conducive for learning, right? So again, in the 21st century now, there are so many things that we need. Big on top of that is technology, right? How is technology integrated into teaching and learning and daily activities? I want to know that the school is safe, and I'm going to ask questions. I mean, I'm coming through the door, through the gates. Do they even have security people? These are the security people, how how active do they look? For lack of a better word. And then, of course, is the school safe, indoors, outdoor spaces? Does the school just look nice? And I'm walking through, I'm taking a tour. Am I seeing something? I remember when we just built a primary school, there was a funny step down that people just used to trip and trip and trip. And we just said, no, this can't work, right? So we adjusted that. So going through the school, you are making sure that the school is safe, right? Is there fire safety? Do they have CCTV? And I tell people now that CCTV can sound luxurious, but now it is a necessity. It is not luxury anymore. you need to have an idea of what is happening everywhere in your school. And the CCTV is manned by someone. Many schools would have CCTVs, and those CCTVs, they are just playing like a movie, right? Or, so is someone sitting down there manning that, whatever? And if they are not even manning it, but is it something that you can play, replay, rewind? Very, very important. What is their child protection and safety policy? Do they have one? What is their emergency policy? Do they have one? Right? So these are things that we must, let me just quickly hang on. Again, I feel as if something is happening. Please
No, we
apologize.
can hear
Apology.
you.
Oh, you can hear me? Okay.
Yeah, we can hear you fine. Go
Yes,
ahead.
okay. I don't know.
Mm.
It's quite an interesting platform. Okay. So child protection policy, child abuse, child safety, crisis management plan. These things are important. What is their emergency? When there's an emergency, what is their response plan? So we need all this information, with regards to child's, safety. How safe is the school? Now, do they have an illness policy? So a child falls ill, which children would do? What are the 5 steps, 10 steps that we're going to take if any kind of illness at all, right? Is there a nurse? Is there a sick bay? Do you have affiliations with a hospital close by? These are the things. Because I tell people that you're going to the school, you're asking for curriculum. Curriculum is great, but guess what? It's only a child that is alive and well that is going to learn anything, right? So we need. I need to know. Although I'm so particular about child, you don't go. I don't take my child to a school, and then my child something bad happen. You don't bring my child back to me the way I sent the child to you. Is very important. What does the school do in terms of preventing and handling problems with drugs, alcohol, and tobacco? And it's very important. I know for a fact that in many secondary schools in Nigeria now, children are vaping. I'm not going to mention. Okay, I know of a child that went to a school for something, and like they were doing something that had to do with overnight, whatever, and they caught some children, having sex. Children in year 10, year 9. So what does the school have to prevent and handle such cases? What does the school have in terms of handling violence, bullying, harassment, and other forms of abusive behavior? What measures does the school take to ensure safety? Right? What security measures are in place? Now, is there any what do we do in terms of if there's any serious crime? When students bring weapons, I will tell you in my school, it is a primary school. I don't think it's a weapon because of the way the child used it. So a child comes to school with a clipper and starts in the bus, starts to clip or shave. I don't know what shave
Wait, what
another
did you say
child.
he brought? A clipper,
A
as in
clipper,
hair
a
clipper?
hair clipper, a
Hmm.
hair clipper to school,
Wow.
right? And on the school bus starts to shave another child's hair. So
Hmm.
yeah, some things don't look like weapons, but many things can be weaponized. So it's important for us to have what do we have in place for that? I mean, when things like that happen, we need to always go back to the drawing board and then reassess and communicate.
Hmm.
So are there drills, fire drills, and all those things? How does the school notify parents when there are emergencies? So your child is ill. What's the process? So I would ask, my child falls, my child gets ill for whatever reason. What are you going to do? Right? What are you,
Hmm.
are you getting my number? If you don't have my number, do you have another? You should have about 4 numbers because people are so busy, right? You should have about 4 numbers right now. So those things are important for me, and I would ask in terms of
Yeah.
safety. Now, I'm also interested. I'll just read the rest. Leadership and visionary, is very important. Who is at the helm of affairs? If it's a board, who are they? If it's a team, who are they? If it's a person, who is this person that is at the helm of affairs? What are behavior expectations? Right? What is your behavior policy? Do you have a disciplinary policy? Because another issue we have is that many schools have become lavender schools. A child does something wrong. No, no, don't talk anyhow. Don't touch that child. I don't want you to touch the child, but you must speak up, right? Your child must understand that something has happened, right? So, what is your disciplinary policy, and how does it go with the values I have values we have as a family, right? That's very important. What are the values in this school? Top on the values for me are care. I was speaking somewhere recently. I think the culture of care the value of care is missing across, the world, and most importantly in our school, where you have children, they don't care about each other, teachers don't care about the children. It is, everything is about the bottom line. Let's make some money, let's ensure that the school looks nice and sharp, and then the root of care is missing. Responsibility, respect, accountability, whereby every member would ask you. So if your teachers, do something wrong, what happens? If your board member does something wrong, what happens? If the principal, you find where principals are the ones that are the top molesters in the school. What happens to the principal? What is the culture of accountability and, of course, discipline? I want to know about the culture of your school. When I get in there, I would know. Your front desk staff, the way they relate to me, I will know if they are angry in this school or they are happy in this school, right? So what is, are the students, when they come up and down, walking up and down, are they courteous? Are they happy, right? Do they have a welcoming attitude? It is so, so key. How does the school help students with diverse learning needs? These are the things that I'm going to ask. I have my daughter that just went into secondary school, and I know that she has diverse learning. She gets bored easily. So many of the things they're going to, they said this to me from about primary three. That if you say it to her once, she gets it. Once you start talking about it again and again and again, she's bored, right? So I had to go and look for a school
Right.
that had some kind of gifted and talented stretching kind of thing, because she's in the class, she gets bored, she starts making a mockery, looks for people's trouble. So we need to be careful about that. Lastly is effective homeschool communication. How does the school communicate with home? How does the school involve parents? You cannot be a one man school, for lack of a better word. How are you involving parents? That homeschool partnership, I need to have an idea of how robust it is. You cannot just be making decisions and then you're not involving home. It is important as parents involved in the development of school policies, right? And of course, where everybody likes to go to first, curriculum. Is it British? Is it American? Is it Japanese? Is it, so I'm not going to spend time on that. But you need to make sure that when people say that they are Japanese, you need to know what Japanese is, Japanese curriculum, and you ask them questions about their Japanese curriculum, right? If it is Japanese curriculum that you want for your children, I'm very interested in your teachers. Are they qualified? Are they trained? Your teachers and caregivers, right? And do you have specialists, speech therapists, psychologists, around this whole system that we can always lean on again for children who have special learning needs? And how often are your teachers trained, upskilled, upgraded, exposed? So your teachers are not in the first century while we're all in the 21st century. Important also again as is student performance, right? And I want to know if students feel safe and secure in the school. I think we don't ask students enough. I would go into school and I'll ask them about their student surveys. And I'll say, tell me, the percentage of students who say that they feel safe and secure in your school. And I want you to show me data, because data is key. I want you to show me data about what, the last survey you did for your students. What did they say? What you see abroad, in other countries, that they publicize this sort of data. So it's not, it's not, a secret. So it's important. I think that most importantly, and I would end with this, parents need to ask, do deep research about a school's reputation. So don't just go to the school because it is shiny. Ask people who have been to the school, ask people who are in the school, ask people who have heard about the school. Have communications. Those people who that have left the school, what do they think about the school? What are their experiences? And I will tell you, the last couple of years, something happens and everybody goes to Twitter and they all say, that school, yes. So when I was in that school in 2019, it's the same thing that happened. When I was in that school in 20. So if all this information is out there, why are people not asking people and then using that to make their judgment? So if somebody is telling me that in 2007 I was molested, I was raped, I was nearly killed, why is am I not finding? And social media is there. No, it sounds very crazy, but someone should just say, please, I am looking for information about this school. Any help? right? I mean, they do it now. Instagram does it now.
Mm,
Oh, I'm looking for a good school in Surulere. Bang, bang, bang. People start asking, sending questions, saying they. I mean, it goes really. But I think where we are now, it's important for parents to do deep research about a school's reputation. How is the school
yes.
regarded in the community? How is the school viewed? Right? What do the graduates of the school say? That is
Mm.
so cool about the school. Thank you very much. Let me not take all our time. Thank you
No,
for listening.
fantastic. Thank you so much for sharing all of that. And I mean, you've covered so much. And, I will just end with one of the things that you said, which is that parents themselves need to learn how to do deep dive. We need to know what we're looking for. We need to know what's important. And we also need to be backed by the knowledge of what kind of questions we should be asking. If you're giving a school your child to take care of and help you raise and turn that child into an individual that will be a successful adult in the future, you need to make sure that the school knows what they're doing and how they're going to do it. Another thing that I always advise parents is when you're asking about if a school is good or not, it depends on how you ask, because the questions you ask will make all the difference between the answers that you get. So if you ask a parent, do you like this school? And they tell you, oh, I like it, you haven't learned anything. But you ask specific questions based on your checklist, and when you're asking leading questions and they can give you real answers and insight, is much more different than just saying, do you like that school or you don't like it? And also asking parents who've left the school. If a parent is still in the school, it's likely they are in there because they are okay with the school. I know it's not as easy, but it's part of becoming a detective on this matter. But can we find parents of children who have actually left the school for whatever reason? Maybe they graduated, but sometimes parents vote with their feet. If they're really unhappy with the school, they will leave. And I think it's worth sometimes asking them why they left the school as well, so that you can measure it vis-a-vis what you are looking for your children. So you've really covered a lot. Thank you so much for sharing all of that. And I'm sure people here, just like me, are taking lots of notes as well. And I want us to move now to Mr. Akinlami. And you've touched a bit on it as well, Bimbo, but we really want to talk now about safeguarding policies, safety in schools. When things like this happen, the unfortunate situation with late Sylvester, even some of the other stories I've heard over the last few weeks, children being disciplined and flogged to such a level that the children have bruises. I think one of them even unfortunately passed away too. It's a bit crazy to think about the fact that these things are happening. These are barbaric things happening in a school environment that's supposed to be safe. So I want us to really delve into what safeguarding means, what parents need to think about when they're thinking about safeguarding. Because it's one thing to know that a school should be safe, it's another to know the questions to ask for, the policies to be looking out for, and how do you ensure that the school just doesn't have a copy and paste of anti-bullying, for example, and that's where it ends, but that they actually are living what they are saying that they are doing. So, Mr. Kinlami, please speak to us about safeguarding, safety in Nigerian schools. And I know you've been working a lot on what's happened with the unfortunate situation with late Sylvester. So please just give us some information about that as well. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can
Once
hear you.
again, thank you for
Mhm.
having me. That was an insightful contribution by Dr. Mrs. Abimbola, whose passion is not strange to me. I've listened to her a couple of times. I've visited her school, and so I know that she's a powerful discussant. What I've been surprised about is if our conversation was not as detailed as it was. So I'm glad I'm in the right place. Haven't heard us made our contribution. Now, the issue we are talking about is a very tricky one, and the reason why I'm going to say so is because when it comes to protection of children within the school system, it is something that is not supposed to be a selling point for a school. It's like blood being a selling point for existence. Blood cannot be a selling point for existence. You don't have blood, you are not living. It's like safety in the air being a selling point for an airline. In Nigeria, an airline can be telling you that if you fly us, you'll be safe, because safety in the air has become a major problem. Now, protection of children within the school system is supposed to be a, a ground norm. a foundational commitment without which a school should not run. When a school runs without a safeguarding and child protection system, and I'm going to break it down, broken down, so a safeguarding and child protection system codified into a policy, broken down into processes on which everybody within the school system, including the parents and the children, are periodically trained to understand their roles. That school is a crime scene. Crime scene. And what happens in a crime scene? Crimes happen in a crime scene. That is what happens there. So, and when we are talking about all of these things, it ought not to be it's something, it's painful, it's something that parents just have to assume. That's the truth. You just have to assume that the same way you cannot be running a life without blood, the same way parents should just assume that safety, protection, and all of that has been taken into place and into cognizance. And the reason why parents should be able to assume that is because there's a regulatory body that ensures that no school can run except a child protection system is in place, codified into a policy, broken down into processes on which everybody is trained periodically, and everybody understands their role. So the crisis we are dealing with in Nigeria is that each school now is now saddled with the responsibility of determining whether they want to have a child protection system codified into a policy, broken down into processes on which everybody is trained. So each school now has to decide whether they want to have it or not. And so then parents now are now saddled with the responsibility. They don't even know, they don't even ask. Now, for example, in Lagos State, for those who are in Lagos State, in 2016, from 2015, between 2015 and 2016, we worked with the Lagos State government to develop a child safeguarding and protection policy for the entire Lagos State. I was privileged to be invited by the Lagos State government. We worked for a whole year with other consultants to put that policy together. Of course, I did it for the Lagos State government pro bono. I didn't charge 1 naira. I did it because it's what I've been clamoring for. And when the Lagos State government said they wanted to do it, I felt that I should contribute my quota, and I did. And so we worked on that policy. We created a template that could pass for a school, pass for a recreation center, pass for a church, pass for a mosque, pass for a hospital. We created something that everybody can take something from. So we created that policy. Then on the 16th of February 2016, the Lagos State governor signed that policy into an executive order. Then it now says it's now mandatory for anyone running child-focused organization to have a child protection system codified into a policy, broken down into processes on which everybody is trained, mandatory. Maybe some people call it mandatory. Whichever one we want to use, it becomes a foundational requirement to run a school or to run a church, children's department, to run anything. It became mandatory. Now, so we had our first meeting in January 2017. That was the first meeting after the promulgation was done, and there was fanfare, there was press conference, the press covered it. Everybody was calling me to say, thank God, this thing has happened finally. Revolution in a lifetime. Our children are now finally saved. So we had a meeting, and in that meeting, January 17, 2017, January, I can't remember the date, I asked the question. Now you have promulgated a child protection policy for the entire Lagos State. Please, what is the budget to make it, to spread it, to make people aware? If you want to spread it within the school system alone, we are talking about 18,000 private schools in Lagos State, 1,700 public schools. What is the plan? We are not here talking about recreation centers. So what is the plan? Then the chairman of that board, because I was co-opted to the board that will see to the implementation of that policy, the chairman of the board told me, and told everybody, not only me, that sorry, we don't have a budget. So I said, okay, so what are we doing here? You don't have a budget. So how do you expect school to know what they're even supposed to do? How do we spread it? How do people get to know? But you see, sadly enough, that was the only meeting we had till today. We have not had another meeting. When this
Wow.
governor was coming into power, I was invited to a meeting of school leaders, people who work within the school system, to have a parley with him. And one of the things that I told him was, Your Excellency to be, there was a policy we worked on, that is for entire Lagos State, but the policy is not being implemented. He said, "Wow, how can that be happening? When I get to the office, that's the first thing I'm going to do." Well, I think he's yet to get to the office because I am not aware of what is being done in that area. So the problem we are dealing with is systemic. We are talking about, we are living in a nation where nobody sends children, nobody cares about children. I mean, people at the helms of affairs, they don't care. So because they don't care, you have to understand the battle we are dealing with. If you are in a developed country, then you can sit in your room, choose a school. You don't even need to go there. If they say they have a policy, you take it because you know there's a body that is working to ensure that that policy that they say they have is standard. It's not something downloaded from somewhere and they are just saying they have a policy. You know that there's no way the school can be allowed to run if the school does not have that policy in place as certified by government. So when you now know that there's no government in terms of protecting children, and you know that government will not work, that's why you bought generator. That's why you bought, there's PACM, but you still bought generator. There is a hospital, public hospital. That's why you went to register in Reddington or anyone where you have registered. There is police. That's why you still you are living gated apartment. Everybody is packed together, gated. But there is police. There is supposed to be public refuse dump. You make arrangement for your own. There's supposed to be water works, but you make arrangement for borehole. The same way you make arrangement for anything, if you want to register a child in a school, you now have to become your own regulatory body. The same way you bought generator, whether from Mikano or from anywhere, or Caterpillar, the same way you now have to open your eyes because you know nobody is doing it. Government, to a very large extent, I stand to be corrected, and I make this statement with every boldness, put my career and everything I know on the line. Anybody should tell me what the plan of government is in terms of child protection in Nigeria, in terms of safeguarding, in terms of insisting. A lady called me who went to do a conference in UAE. He said, Mr. Akinlami, this thing you are telling us in Nigeria. He's a minister that is training what you are training here. He's a minister that came to facilitate child protection in that meeting. So we need to understand that, number one, there's no regulatory body regulating anything in terms of child protection. I don't want to go into other things. Now, if there's regulatory body regulating things, what happened in Doen will not happen. Because I've followed the Doen case, I've been in it, I've listened to people, I've sent people to court. We've been in court. Every coroner inquiry sitting, we've been there. So we put our mouth where we have put our money where our mouth is. We've been in every corona sitting since they started in January 15. We've been there listening to things that are happening there and seeing that how schools drop the ball. So for me, there are two conclusions I want to make very quickly. Nobody is coming for you if you are a parent. Registering your child in a private school, nobody is coming for you. You come for yourself. Because as a matter of fact, in the first instance, the private school taking over the role of public school is a failure of the public school system in the first instance. How can there be in Lagos, 20 million people, 18,000 private schools? Struggling, competing with 1,700 private public schools. And when you say 1,700, it's actually 1,300. You are counting GS1, GS2 as two schools. That's why it becomes 1,700 in a state of 20 million people. How many private schools are in Nigeria? How many public schools are in Nigeria? So the failure, the first instance that the failure of government is a reflection of why we have more private schools than we have public schools. Meanwhile, there should be more public schools than private schools. That's how it works. Any nation, any developed nation, that's how it works. As a matter of fact, when you go to a country like Rwanda, investment of government in school has almost knocked out the private sector. And so for me, the issue is very clear. You have to understand your environment in dealing with what question to ask. So it is not the time to take the word of people for it. It is for you to ask questions. And I love the fact that Mr. Abimbola dealt with that squarely to say, don't ask questions. Don't just sit around. If they say they have a policy, ask them, how did they get the policy? How did they draft it? Is everybody within the school system trained and all of that? So for me, that would be for you to understand that we are dealing with a situation that is very unusual, and so you have to open your eyes clearly and ask critical questions. So the number one responsibility of a school is not to teach, because do you teach a child who is dead? Do you teach a child who is threatened? Do you teach a child who is not happy? Do you teach a child who does not feel safe? The number one responsibility of a school is to protect. Why? The law recognizes the fact that when you register your child in a school, from that moment when you hand over the child to the school has a duty of care to protect your child. Duty of care is a duty. It's a duty. Now, when the parent is dealing with the school, the parents does not know the teachers. So the parents does not have a contract with the teachers. It is the school that has a contract with the teachers. It is the teachers that have a contract with the school. The parents only have a contract with the school. They know the school, but they don't know the teachers. So now, what should be the role of the school in bringing in these teachers? That's why, if you are a member of COBIS or you're trying to join COBIS, I'm not saying people should join COBIS, and I'm not promoting COBIS as where everybody should join. But I'm just saying that they are very strong on safer recruitment. Safer recruitment to this, which is a part of child protection system. Now, I'm going to define safeguarding and child protection in conclusion. But you see, safer recruitment is the thinking of COBIS and globally is the fact that you need access before you can wreak havoc. For those who want to abuse children, you need access before you can wreak havoc. If you don't have access, you are not going to be able to do anything to the child. Now, the closer you are to the child, the higher the possibility of abusing the child, the higher the possibility. So the point is, how is the school recruiting their staff? What is the machinery in place to ensure that this guy who has been invited to teach children, there is proper background check? Do we need to engage a private investigator? Do we need to even on LinkedIn, I see a lot of adverts of schools. They put advert there, we are looking for teacher, we are looking for this. There is no caveat there to say this process of recruitment will be taken through strict mechanism of our child protection system. I've not seen one recently. I've not seen that will say, I will see the advert, they will say everything that will happen, good salary, everything. But that clause that this recruitment process will be taken through the scrutiny of our child protection system, I don't see it. Now, do you know that in the developed climate, you can't interview a teacher today or a caregiver without the presence of a child protection expert? It's not possible. Because you see, those who want to abuse children also, they are very committed to their ways. They are committed to their enterprise. And so in their commitment, they're always looking for where there are loopholes. If they see an advert that does not say they are going to go through child protection scrutiny, they will join. If they see an advert that says they're going to go through child protection scrutiny, there's every possibility that they may not go there because they don't want to be exposed. So in conclusion for me, so I would say that parents need to scrutinize. That scrutinize means that nobody is doing it for you. You are the one diving in. You are the one asking all the questions. And what are the questions? What this policy, when did it come into existence? How did you come up? How did you come about it? Number two, is everybody within the school system trained? Is everybody within the school system trained to know what to do? And when I say everybody, including a clerk, including gardener, including the people in the kitchen, everywhere. Because children don't interface with teachers alone. Teachers don't interface with leaders alone. Children don't interface with bus driver alone. They interface with everybody. Are they trained? Periodically, we advise train every year. There are people that work with us that train every year. There are people train every other year. So because the child protection policy of a school is not one safe, forever safe. You just put it there, we have policy. Matters that has to do with children are dynamic. They change daily. Look at what has happened now. Before COVID, the issues of abuse of children were 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 physical most of the time within the school system. With the advent of COVID, Everybody moved online. Those who want to perpetrate evil, they also moved online too. They won't abandon their enterprise. They are even more creative than those who want to protect children. They also moved online. As they moved online, how do we now know what to do to ensure that children are safe online? So, as part of our work now, we've now done robust work on safety online, because that becomes a big area now. Offline has become the default. Now, online has become the main dish, and offline has become, on-site has become an accompaniment. In that instance, do we still carry a policy around that dwells mainly on online, on offline learning, without taking into cognizance the fact that children are now online, and online there is more volatile? Let me give you an example. Go to Broad Street in Lagos. When you get to Broad Street, put your 8-year-old there and tell him that, or her that, when you finish, come and meet me at home. That's Broad Street, Lagos. Close to, just from where Central Bank is, just put your child there and say, you know what, just walk around, do everything you want to do, then come back and meet me at home. Nobody is going to do that, because you see the massiveness of that place. That child is going to get lost. The internet is bigger, far million times, billion times bigger, infinitely bigger than Broad Street. That is what you do when you put your child online to say, go and learn. And that's what schools do when they say, come online, come and learn. You are releasing children to a massive entity expanse of digital land that children are exposed to. What do we do? What can we do to ensure that children are safe? Those are fundamental issues. So for me, safeguarding is, we call it safeguarding agenda. It's everything you do to prepare for the safety of children. Child protection is safeguarding in action. When you have a matter, a child that is at risk, child protection is what to do in furtherance to your safeguarding agenda, to your safeguarding policy. Child protection now becomes what to do to work your policy. Your policy, yes. So, system codified into policy, broken down into processes. So parents have to ask questions, they have to dig. And let me conclude this way: there are three group of people running school in a third world country. We need to understand that. The first one are the educators, people like Mr. Abimbola, who really want to help, who really want to better the lives of children. I've been to our school, who really want to do something meaningful. Those ones, educationists, they are very few. If you count, I've met many people in Lagos. If you count them, they are very, very few. Number two, the investors. These ones are looking for ROI, returns on investment. They just want to invest. So that's how you see it. A primary school will spring up, the next day, secondary school will spring up, university will spring up. Then they can bring 7 expatriates and Nigerians. Once we see white people, we are wiped away. So white is right. Oh, 7 Oyinbo, that's the right school. We go there. And we are working with all manners of school with Oyinbo inside. We still know that there's no child protection system there. We have still gone there to argue with them to say this is not supposed to be. And Oyinbo is still telling us, hey, everything will be all right, we'll be all right. They are still saying so there. So now the third people running school are the hungry. They're just looking for what to eat. If only I can maximize profit. So the thin line between the investor and the hungry is that the hungry wants to eat quickly. The investor can wait. But the bottom line is that it's going to tell you, why do you need to buy 2 tires there? That extra tire, we can still be managing it. Is it the main tire? Because it's always looking at the books. Now, am I saying we shouldn't look at the books? We must look at the books. In every labor, there must be profit. But at what expense? So that's it for me. If you go to Dowen now, if I have time when I come back, I will tell you word for word what happened in Dowen. That the coroner inquiry has now found. It's no more gainsay. Dowen has come to tell their story. In the coroner inquiry, the parents of Oromoni, they've come to tell their own story. Witnesses, police have told they are still telling their story in the coroner inquiry. And I did a broadcast, was it 2 weeks ago? I still did a town hall meeting on Friday, last Friday, where we're looking at what on Saturday. What did the coroner inquiry? What are they finding? It will shock you what the coroner inquiry is finding in a highbrow school, high street school, located in the heart of Victoria Land. It will shock you. So for me, parents have to be vigilant. Don't take the word of school owners for it. Dig, ask critical questions. Policy, does it exist? How did you get there? Do you train? When last did you train? Who are the people trained? Are the children trained? And we cannot stop bullying by rules and regulation. Anti-bullying policy does not stop bullying. No, it doesn't stop bullying. My clients called me when Sylvester Ramoni died. Said, Mr. Akinlami, what can we do? This thing, I said, look, there are two things you can do. Number one, you can bring out stringent rules, scare the children because of what is happening. They will be scared. After a while, they will go back to their vomit. But you can have a long-term commitment, which is the fact that you need to pay attention to the value system of children. You need to pay attention to the behavioral outcome. A school exists for behavioral outcome and learning outcome. 90% of our investment is in learning outcome. 10% or less is in behavioral outcome. If it is input that determines output, are we shocked who our children have become? It was in Victoria Island, the eyebrow school, that a child was going to poison another child because why? He said the child was better than him, as if that child being better than him was going to chase him out of this world. He could not live in a competitive world, so he was going to, and that's who they are paying millions. But the attention is in British curriculum, Afghanistan curriculum, Ukrainian curriculum, all kinds of curriculum. Then, once the curriculum is not Nigeria, even if it is from Ghana or Cameroon, it's okay. We are looking for curriculum. We are looking for white people. Once they are white, and we are looking for name, even if the school is living on past and old glory, we are looking for proximity to our house. We are looking for recommendation by a friend. It was my friend that said that's the school the children graduated from. We are looking for the story that the school is telling that is not verifiable. After we have gotten all of that, we go and put our children there. It doesn't matter if the headmaster is the devil. It doesn't matter what they have or what they don't have. We are fine. We cannot continue like that because at the end of the day, if something happens to a child, it is not only the school that suffers, so it is the mother who carried the child for 9 months. My wife and I, we have been waiting for a child for 15 years. In December, October last year, we had one. God blessed us with one. Like that one is like 1 million to us. Now that child now is 4 months old. I have retired temporarily to focus on that child. They have become my number one to do. I cannot be waiting for a child or preparing for a child for 15 years. The child will now come and say, I'm busy. I'm not too busy for the child. I'm with him. Most of the time, I'm studying him. Now, look at my affinity, the way I relate with that child. That boy now will now pray that something will not happen to him. What story am I going to tell myself? So when you carry a child in your womb, you can't just throw the child into anywhere. But when you know that nobody is going to do it for you, you have to do it for yourself. Thank you very much.
Wow, wow. Mr. Akinlami, the amazing thing about you is how you will share information that's so powerful, yet you'll be making us laugh at the same time. Yeah. When when you said the Afghanistan curriculum, I actually just started laughing. But wow, wow, wow. I could continue talking to you and Bimbo all day, but thank you for the way you broke everything down. And I wrote something here that there are three groups of school owners: educators and educationists who actually want to do the right thing, investors focused on return on investment, and the hungry, those who just want to make quick money and they've seen a school as potentially an avenue for that. And how you also talked about there's actually no regulatory body actually helping us as parents. And I remember you mentioned this quite a few times ago or a few years ago at one of our LagosMums conferences that you honored us by speaking at. And you said Nigerian parents are dealing with so much by themselves. They are their own municipalities. They are the ones having to, there's no accreditation system. There's nothing you can trust in terms of we can trust this body has done their work and they have rated schools for us in a way that we can use that information. Bimbo also mentioned data, having actual data that we can use to make our decisions as we look at schools. So there's so much, and it's making me think, do we even have an answer in terms of how to choose the right school? How do we ensure safety in Nigerian schools? You rightly said it as well that safety should be a given. It shouldn't be something that a school is using to quote and unquote sell their school to you. It's expected that my child should be safe in an environment that we're sending them to. And it's very sad when I mean, is on many things. Health is there in Nigeria. We know what's going on with that. My daughter is currently preparing for a debate or a speech, and she's chosen to look at healthcare in Nigeria. So today I picked her from school and she was telling me some of the statistics she has found about how much the US, for example, spends per citizen on making sure that they get good quality healthcare. And she compared it to how much the Nigerian government is spending per citizen. And you could see in her mind she couldn't understand, like, how is it so little? That's why. And then she also talked about how many percentage of Nigerian citizens don't have insurance, can't pay for good health. And so she can't understand the differences. And you don't always have answers for them. But really, it makes me think, what is the way forward? What do we do? We've talked about some of the things we can do as parents. We have to become detectives. We have to add, we have to do so much to make sure that before we say yes to a school, we know why we're doing it. And what sometimes really saddens me is that we live in an environment that doesn't help us. It doesn't help, it doesn't help making decisions such as this, picking schools for your child easier because of the lack of structure we have in the system. But yet, the same parents don't have the time to have the conversation sometimes with the experts, with the guides that will help them realize what to look out for. Everybody is busy, everybody is hustling, everybody is doing dirty December when it comes to December. It's like we just seem to have our values upside down. And sometimes I wonder, what is it going to take for us to really, really be able to, put our children first. And in this particular case, we're talking about the choice of school because, you've both mentioned it. There are all kinds of horrific stories that happen after the fact. And when it happens and it comes to light, like Bimbo mentioned on social media, you will see them telling you, oh, that happened to me when I went there. And you wonder, why is that just coming out now? So, wow, thank you for giving us the insight. We've talked about how to choose the right school, what to consider, questions to ask. And we've also talked about safeguarding, child protection, the things that are not in place. And what does that mean for a parent when you cannot be sure that your school environment is actually safe for your child? Okay, just as we start to get ready to wrap up, I know we cannot finish in 5 minutes. So, Bimbo and Mr. Akinlami, I hope you can give us a little bit more time. I know I had said 1 hour, but I think there's still a lot to unpack here. So maybe can you give me another 10 minutes? Is that okay?
That's fine by me.
Okay, okay.
Yes, it's fine. Thanks. It's fine.
Okay, fantastic. So what I want us to do now is to see if we have any questions at all. We'll take a few questions and then we'll have you both also summarize for us, in terms of the takeaway. We've highlighted a lot of the problems and we've also kind of talked about what we can do. But if a parent, an educator is on this today and they are concerned about what is going on in the educational space in Nigeria. Our children are in schools in Nigeria. We want to ensure the best for them. What exactly can parents start to do to make to be able to make demands on the school? And I think that's one thing I've seen is that we don't necessarily make demands on the schools. Parents just we're almost resigned to what's available. But how can we get into an environment and into a way of thinking where parents can actually make demands on the school? And the more we make those demands, hopefully we start to see a change. So, KK, thank you for joining us. I will, have you introduce yourself briefly, and then if you can share, if you have a question, a comment, or you just want to contribute to the conversation.
Hi, thank you so much, Yetty. Hi, everyone. It's great to be here. Thank you so much, Dr. Bimbo and Mr. Taiwo. It's been honestly an amazing conversation. My name is Akinlami Ajayi. I also work in the education space. I'm an education strategist, and this is really interesting topic, right? And it's extremely important. I had a contribution to make to the conversation, but I mean, you said something, Yetunde, that I'm just going to piggyback off, and that was parents need to begin to hold the school and the systems accountable. And that's not happening. It's not happening like it should. One, because parents do not understand their rights. They do not understand what exactly they should be doing. It seems that they have forgotten that they are the parents. And the reality is that they are the customers. The children are our consumers, yes, but we need to be accountable as educators. We need to be accountable. And if nobody's holding us to a standard, then there really is no standard, right? And so let me just go directly to the question: ensuring safety in our schools. I looked at that word, ensuring, right, to ensure is to make certain. I mean, I actually had to Google it, like literally. And when you want to ensure something, you want to be certain that this thing is happening over and over and over again, right? And so that means that consistently, like Mr. Taiwo said, there needs to be systems that are clearly defined and that we can see, we can pinpoint and say, oh, if somebody comes in, for example, and says, so I'm seeing the low signal bar. I hope I'm still audible. If
Yes, we
somebody
can
comes
hear
in
you.
for
Please go ahead.
fantastic,
We
if
are
somebody
hearing you
comes in,
clearly.
thank you so much. If somebody comes into the school and asks a question, somebody should be able to respond, right? And that's openness, that's accountability. If we don't have that in our schools, then we have a problem. Another thing I want to say is culture. Culture is extremely, extremely important. Safety is not a department. Safety is not something that happens in the school. Safety is something that happens all around us. And as your amazing speakers were talking earlier, I like to draw things. I'm a very visual person, so I'm constantly drawing and constantly just making things make sense for me in my books. I drew a circle and I put the school in the middle. And around that circle, I drew spokes, right? So just picture the spokes. One spoke is the teacher, another spoke is the parents, another spoke is the children, right? Another spoke is the school administrative systems. And then we also have the environment and we have the government. Now, all these six spokes are extremely important in ensuring safety in a school. If the left tire of my car picks a nail, it's going to deflate. What simply happens is that my car is wobbly. It's going to be an uncomfortable ride, right? So when we look about systems in the school, we need to say to ourselves, what are the systems that need to be in place? If we do not have those systems in place, or there's a particular wheel that is wobbly, then we have a problem, right? And I mean, I can sit down and pick apart all of this, but we don't have enough time for that, right? So there are systems, and Mr. Taiwo talked about systems. He also talked about the processes. Now, what are the itty bitty things that happen? So let me take the teachers, for example. When you are hiring a teacher, just like Mr. Taiwo Akinlami said, what are your safe hiring processes? How do you ensure that this teacher even knows what to do? Do we actually do background checks? Do we check the recommendation profile of the teachers? Do we do anything? I mean, right now we're all online, to be honest. So do we check that teacher's digital footprint? Do we? What are our? I mean, we have probation processes. What are we using them for? Right? All of those things are extremely important. Let me give you an example. Something that happened in my school yesterday. Yesterday, it was because of the fuel crisis, right? So the school buses have been coming back slightly late. So we have several pickup cycles. And I'm going to end very shortly because I do know that you don't have enough time. And we have several cycles for pickup. And what happened was a particular cycle, the buses were late because there was traffic everywhere, da 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 da. I mean, I can go on and on. And so the children came down from the classrooms because there is that system where they come down and then wait for the bus. So the buses weren't there. And instead of sending them back to the classroom, we decided, you know what, let them play on the playground. So they were on the playground playing. And as soon as the buses came, we got a call. Anyway, I don't have to tell you what we do. You help all you guys. And there was time to get them back on. And the child came down from the one of the play equipment, and he came to the teacher and he said to her, oh, my trouser tore. Now we have a system in the school where if you're uncomfortable about something, you need to talk to somebody, and it doesn't matter who. Every single adult is a mandated reporter in my school. You report if you're uncomfortable about something or a child says something that you need to deal with it. And he went to somebody, and as she checked him, she noticed that he had a cut. He didn't even know. And she carried him immediately. And what did she do? She knows the policies when there's a problem. She ran immediately to the school nurse. Immediately, we placed the call to the parent. There were things that were activated simply because of that thing. Now, the parent came in today and wanted to have a conversation about what happened. And we could very clearly show him and drew the line for him. Not just me, but every single person in the school. Because that was what happened. And because we knew what to do, right? But if you do not have systems and they're not clearly outlined processes, then you're going to have a problem. The final thing I'm going to talk about is, look, we need to empower our teams. We need to empower our teams to do their jobs. And in our teams, I'm going to put in the parents in there as well, because they are kind of part of the school team, because they're doing the work at home, right? They need to be empowered very clearly so that they understand what they need to do and actually begin to do them. And then we must measure. If we're not measuring, how many safety incidents do we have in the school today? We do it by class. And there's a board, there's a chart, and the children can see it. So it's a holistic system. It's a culture. If we do not imbibe that culture, it is problematic. So I would say do a needs assessment of your school. Find out what you don't know. find out what needs to be in place, and then systematically begin to put them in place. If not, then we're going to keep having incidents that we really do not want to discuss. Yeah, my name is KK. Back to you, Yeti.
Thank you so much for sharing that, KK. I just love how we're building on each other's points, and it's really important what you said about culture. Culture is not a thing that you do in one place in isolation. Safety. Safety is not something that's a standalone. Safety should be a culture all around in our society, in our homes, government, school, everybody, It's not, and the truth is that safety is something that we take chances a lot, right? In Nigeria, we really do. And we have to unfortunately see that this also affects children. And the way we bring that into our school environment in a way that's structured, that everybody knows what to do and everybody knows what is expected, that's really something I'm picking away, and I'm hoping the people listening as well who will also replay this later pick that away. We need structures, we need systems, we need everybody who's part of the team to know what is expected. Parents themselves, need to forget they should stop thinking that they are not the customers. They actually are. And they have to be knowledgeable. When you go to the shop to buy something, you know what you want to buy. You know what kind of chicken you are buying when you go to any of these eateries. You know exactly the one you like and which one you ask for. If they don't have, you might be upset and go to the next place, because that's how specific you are on the type of chicken, whether it's roasted with pepper or meat or whatever. But when it comes to schools and some things that have to do with our children, it's almost as if anything goes when that should not be the case. Mr. Akinlami mentioned, in fact, I was always moved. We interviewed him as the dad of the month, I think about 2 or 3 years ago, and it was only at the end of the interview that we found out that he was waiting for a child after so many years of marriage. And I did not know, because this is somebody who to me is a father to many. So Mr. Akinlami, you're a father to many. You might just have gotten, had your own child, and we thank God and bless God that
Thank
you are,
you.
you are, you are now a physical father. And I love what you said, that he's your number one priority. What again are you doing? He has finally come. You can't be too busy for him. So
Yes.
so we thank God for that. Okay, so Abisola, you came on stage. If you have anything to add in 1 or 2 minutes, and then we're going to start to wrap up. But thank you again, Kiki, for coming up and sharing the things that you shared. So, Abisola, please go ahead. Good evening.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening. Thank you for having me come up. Thank you so much, Mr. Taiwo and Abimbola. I have my younger daughter will be going into year 7 in September, but I've been trying to look for a school for her since last year. And at the point, people feel like, take it easy when it's time now, take it easy. But I have a lot of questions that I needed answers for. This is somebody that had been in a school, and because of her body size, she was body shamed and she had low self-esteem. So when Mr. Taiwo was sharing about the types of school owners, we have the educationists, we have the investor, and we have the
We're
um
hungry.
what's the
We're
third one?
hungry.
Yeah. So I realized that, okay, like the school my daughter fell into as at that time, yes, there was an investor. He was not really concerned about what's going on in the school. It's just is keen about the return on investment. Despite serving them a letter, my husband is a legal practitioner, every all of that did not work. So now I'm kind of very conscious, and I feel like parents too, we feel when we have paid, we believe that the school owes us. So we leave all the responsibility on the school. We are not present in what is going on in our children's life. Just like Yetty was sharing earlier on about our daughter having a competition, and they were kind of analyzing preparation. A lot of parents will not do that. Parents of today, we put our school, just like Mr. Akinlami said, Ukraine curriculum, British curriculum, the name of the school, the caliber of people that are in school. So we are not really keen about what our children are going to get. We are not keen about their safety. We are not keen about their welfare. We are not keen about their self-esteem, their confidence, their mental health. So to me, I feel like parents who have a very huge role to play in this. We need to be present in our children's life. We need to know what is going on, so that when there's a red flag, you'll be able to identify it. Like somebody like me, I don't get tired when it has to do with my children. You might just name me, call me anything. I will keep on going. I'll keep on going. And I had to pull my daughter out of school at the time that it was difficult, because when we served a letter, we went for the headmistress to call her that henceforth, if your parent comes to school and they report you are going to lock you in the toilet for the whole day, we ensure that you are not in class. And that was the height for me. So I just had to pull her, because at that time I know that my child
Wow.
is not safe. But a lot of parents will still, okay, the school came, they came to apologize. They said, okay, they will be aware, they will do all of that. But I said, no, like you've had it all. But some parents will feel, some parents came to me and they were telling me that, okay, the place I'm going, do I know what will happen there? It might be worse. And I said, because I'm going to be present in my children's life, if I notice anything, I'll keep changing our school until I get a place I know is very comfortable for her. So my contribution is,
Yeah.
parents, we have a role. Despite the fact that we are paying, we need to be present in our children's life. Try to look out for these signs. Try to talk to them, and ensure that we are fighting for their cause. Thank you so much for having
Mm.
me, and thank you, Yetty, for this amazing work. Like, I don't even know how I stumbled onto this program tonight. I just came in for a very, very stressful journey, and the first word I got just held me, and I was glee. Thank you so much. I'm done speaking. My name is Abimbola.
Fantastic. Thank you, Abisola, for sharing. And when you were talking, I thought about something that we say a lot in Nigeria, which is the devil you know is better than the one you don't know. And I remember somebody saying, but devil na devil. So this idea of the devil you know you should manage, and that's along the lines of
Devil
what you
na
said.
devil.
Devil na devil. So it's not all the one you know manage. And that's what Abisola was saying when she was taking an action about a school that was not serving her child properly. People were like, the one you are going to, do you know how they will be there? So that idea that we should just manage, when it comes to our children, we cannot afford to manage. But thank you for sharing that. Well, I've really enjoyed this conversation. I don't do Clubhouse often. And, my team and I were like, you know what, let's just have a conversation going. I didn't jump into the conversations early when what happened with Sylvester happened and all of that. Because you know what, for us at Lagos Mums, we're here for the long run. We're here for the long haul. And it's about intentional parenting. So it's not about sensation only. When something happens, the hashtag will flag, everybody will be trending. And then once it goes quiet, it's done. These are not conversations that are ever done, because we have to continue to talk. And every time we talk about it, every time we are discussing this, those of us that know, we learn new things. Those of us that are just learning for the first time, we pick something up, and then we can help somebody else as well. So thank you everybody who joined, who stayed throughout. And I want us to start wrapping up now. So I will go back to Abimbola to wrap up, in a minute or two, with everything we've discussed, and you were giving parents some takeaway, what they can do. We cannot despair. All of us will not leave Nigeria. Our children are from there. We're going to come back there. What can we actually do, and what can we charge parents with, so that things can start to be different? We pray for a different thing. We pray for different things to happen. We pray for better leadership. We will go and vote, all of those things. But in the meantime, our children's lives are at stake, and we must do certain things to make sure that they thrive. I just want to mention quickly what's happening with the Minister of Education. I'm sure we're all aware of what's happened there and what they said happened yesterday at a meeting, and how he stormed out. And in fact, when we start talking about it, sometimes it's like we can never get beneath something before we go to the next wahala. But Bimbo, please wrap up for us. What would you say to parents to encourage them, and what can they do in their own way to ensure safety for their children in Nigerian schools?
All right. I mean, I have been glued. I'm hardly ever glued to conversations, but this has been very good. Thank you, Mr. Akinlami. I mean, I would never forget that the educators, investors, and hungry people. I, would, I don't think I'm ever going to forget that. And thank you for contributions from KK and Abisola as well. I think as parents, we need to have the victor's mindset and not the victim mindset. We need to go about, choosing schools with a lot of knowledge, a lot of empowerment. So we need to empower ourselves with the information that we need to make good decisions, right? Sometimes take the ostrich approach. We're also busy. It's not easy in Lagos, especially, right? There's fuel scarcity and all that. So I mean, it's never going to end. But I like how someone has said that schools will change. I don't know if someone said, maybe I'm saying it in my brain. Schools will change, but parents remain. Schools will change, but parents remain. So we are the primary educators and caregivers for our children. So it is our express responsibility to ensure that we have done all that we can to choose the right school. And you see, once we've chosen the right school, it's not just in the choosing, it's to ensure that the school remains the right school, right? And that is why I loved what Mrs. Abisola said when she says that sometimes we feel as if we've paid and then we let go. But you need to be involved. You need to ask questions. You need to show up. You need to speak up, advocate, be present in this, almost like you are all, present in the school as well. And when you find a school where there is easy to, I think it's very easy to know when a school is not right for a child, right? And a school is not even right generally. If we are observing, if we are watching, if we are looking, if we are asking questions, if we are digging deep, we will know, right, what is right and what is not right for our child. So it is just to be, to empower ourselves with a lot of education and knowledge, to be present and active and involved as a parent, and to just keep on checking all the time. Is this school still good for my child? Is this school still good for my child? Again and again and again, right? And of course, just connecting with that. I mean, for you to know, you need to connect with do a lot of parenting. Many of us have abdicated parenting to schools, abdicated parenting to nannies and housekeepers. Just be present as a parent. I think that's my own take. Thank you very much for having me here today.
Thank you so much, Bimbola, for sharing all of that. How can people connect with you? Where can they find you if they want to ask more questions?
Oh, okay. So I'm here for the first time. So I'm here. I'm a bit more active on Instagram, Abimbola Ogundere, Instagram. I'm also active on LinkedIn. So Abimbola Ogundere as well on LinkedIn. You can send me an
Fantastic.
email as well. Again, Abimbola Ogundere at gmail.com. Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for sharing with us. We've learned a lot. And I'm glad you enjoyed your first clubhouse session today as well.
Yay! I was so worried. I had to ask you many questions. Excuse me, do I press this? What do I press? Tell me what to do. Thank you so
I
much.
know.
It was
Thank you.
great.
Welcome.
God bless.
Awesome.
Thank you.
God bless. Thank you for joining us. And Mr. Akinlami, please wrap up. We've talked about a lot of things. What's your charge for parents? What
Okay,
can they do to try and ensure safety in Nigerian schools for their children? And let
okay,
us know how to find you as well.
okay. I think the solution is in the hands of parents. And when we're talking about parents here, we're talking about parents that can come to Clubhouse, that use
Mm-hmm.
the internet. There are some parents who are here's for wood and dry of water. They're in the village, they don't even know what is going on. They are defeated by the state of the nation. So as we speak to the parents who are who are lettered, I think our being lettered should speak for us. We can ask critical questions. For example, in Dowen, there was no PTA there. And in that school, there were captains of industry. People, Sylvester Romani's father is a politician in Delta State, highly placed. His son was there, no PTA. Nobody asked any question. It's about what one of the speakers here said about put your child there because, and you are done. I mean, they should handle
Mm,
it. Why will you, as informed people, we hear about those who are in the village, who are defeated, who are not informed. You are lettered. Let the letter speak. The fact that we went to school, let it speak for us when we are doing this stuff. The negotiation we make on buying trinkets, on buying other things like shoes, like land, the due diligence we carry out is more than the one we carry out than when it comes to our children. You have never been driving on Third Mainland Bridge and you see PIN number, ATM card PIN number. You put it in the public. You don't do that. You do two-step. Step one, step two. If there's three steps, you put it and you say, my child is priority. When it comes to the child, no step. No step. So we need to change all of that, because since we are now buying generator, since before the nation will not get well, we are not living in darkness. We have security. We have to also do more. We have to do more. I know it's not easy. There's a lot of pressure on parents. We have to do more, because the truth of the matter is that you don't outgrow security. You don't outgrow protection. You can't say, since I've been living in this house, we have lived there for 10 years, there have never been any robbery incident. Let's open the door. Nothing, because the fact that there was no robbery incident yesterday, the protection of yesterday was for yesterday. The protection of today is for today. That's why you don't outlive, you don't outgrow security that we've been here for 12 years. I think by now we should have proven to ourselves that we are safe. Open the door, open it down. Let everybody go and sleep. You don't do that. So for me, we need to ask more questions. And for you to know what questions to ask, it's not something that we can discuss in 1 hour. And so I will round up with this quote. A woman that I listened to, she's a child protection officer for UNICEF in the Caribbean. She said, since children spend a significant amount of their childhood in school, it is for this reason, if no other, that school should be warm, caring and nurturing places where students feel supported and they feel protected. Indeed, research has shown that when children feel connected to school, they have better learning and behavioral outcome. So where does that start? School should be warm, caring and nurturing places when students feel supported and they feel protected. Once they feel protected and supported, they feel connected. Once they become connected, they have better learning and behavioral outcomes. So for me, at the end of the day, it's about the holistic approach to this whole issue. The issue of culture have been spoken about, which has to be entrenched. The issue of policy, system. System speaks to three things. Speaks to goal or set of goals. Speaks to who is responsible for what. People say in child protection, everybody's job, child protection is everybody's work. I said when it comes to reporting, everybody can report, but not everybody can respond. So child protection is everybody's job to the extent of reporting. When it comes to responding, you need skills to respond. Then you talk about policy. Policy is a statement of will of the people who put it in place to govern by their own positive value system. So, and at the end of the day, all of those things must be in place, regulated from time to time. There's a lot we can say. So, how do you reach me? Well, I'm in Clubhouse. I don't come here often because I ask myself, Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook. If somebody begins to go around like this, you won't do any other thing. So I just put the Clubhouse on my phone there, you know, just for me to be aware. Then when Mrs. Yetty said this is where we are going to come to, I just went to dust it, cleaned it, shine it. I said, okay, when the day comes, we shall go there, try to find out how it works. That thing that Mrs. Abimbola was saying, I was going through it, and it happened to me as I pressed something like this, the thing disappeared. I said, wow, I was looking for how to get back. Finally, God help me. So I'm on Clubhouse. I intend to come here more often, as many times I can be. I'm on Twitter at Taiwo Akinlami, Clubhouse Taiwo Akinlami. Instagram, Taiwo Akinlami returns. My account was taken from me. I don't know why. We fought to get the account. We couldn't get it. So I opened another one that we are just building. It's called Taiwo Akinlami Returns. Then on LinkedIn too, we are there. Then in I think we've created two products. One is 15 things to ask before you register your child in a school. The other one is so you want to send your child to a boarding school, ask these 11 fundamental child focused questions. We've created all of those materials to help to guide parents in taking a decision. And finally, for us who are working with children, let's make child protection a cardinal point in training of teachers. It's very, very important, because when child protection becomes what everybody is talking about as a critical part of working with teachers, of working with parents. Let's make it a critical part of working with parents. Let's make it a critical part of working with teachers. Because if we do that, we keep drumming it. We keep drumming it. When we keep drumming it, after a while, it will become a reality. So it's not enough for a parent to go around looking for school. Even when you find the school, as Mr. Abimbola said, you now find the school. How do you make it to continue to be what it's supposed to be? It's sustained by culture. It's not sustained by fear. Thank you very much.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Mr. Akinlami, for that wrap up. And, I love what you said about how there are so many platforms. If you try to be on everything, you won't actually do work, indeed. So thank you so much. I couldn't have gotten better speakers for tonight on this topic. It's so important, and I hope everybody has taken away something. And it's not just for us, right? It's also for us to influence others. How do we use this information in our environment, in our homes, families, with our friends? Some people just don't know. And if you don't know what you don't know, you don't know what to change. You don't know how to go about it differently. So with that, thank you so much. My name again is Yetty Williams, founder, CEO of Lagos Mums, as a platform for raising children, wholesome families in today's day and age. Thank you, KK. Thank you, Abisola, for joining the conversation. Thank you to everybody that stayed in, and different people came in and out at different times. In terms of how to find me, I'm on Clubhouse as well. You can see my link, and you can also follow us at Lagos Mums on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook, and we'll be happy to continue the conversation. Thank you again for joining us. And with that, we are done for tonight. Have a lovely evening,
Good
everybody.
night.
Thank you. Bye bye, everyone.
Bye.
All right.